Alex, welcome to the Democratizing SEO podcast. How are you doing today?
Very good. Well, thank you very much for having me today. I'm extremely excited to be here.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for being on. Your profile on LinkedIn jumped out to me because I see you're someone who specializes in link building. And I thought to myself, this is a sort of like a breath of fresh air because not a lot of SEOs these days, in my opinion, focus on link building exclusively. So I thought you'd be a very interesting person to speak with. So for this episode, I'm titling it, You Still Require Active Link Building, and it's essentially for a
hmm
number of clients, or should I say brands and SEOs who are client side, because there is this idea that link building is a negative term ever since Penguin, ever since it became a part of their core algorithm, updating automatically. So I want to delve into a couple of I want to get your thoughts on a couple of things. But as I like to do with all my SEO guests, I like to ask them how they got into SEO in the first place. So, with that said, how did you become an SEO professional?
Um, that is a short but very interesting story.
Go for
So
it.
basically, I joined SEMrush, right? And that was more than 15 years ago, right? And so, right, SEMrush is an SEO tool.
Hmm.
Right now it's way bigger, right? But back those days, that was a primarily an SEO tool because they mostly, uh, the time when I joined them, they only had actually, results about keywords, search engine results. They didn't even have link building. I mean,
Mm,
like they are all backlink analysis reports weren't there at all.
hmm.
So that was all about either paid, right, search engine results or organic search engine results. But I joined SEMrush not as an SEO specialist, not even as a marketer. I joined SEMrush in order to help them basically integrate their business processes with Salesforce. So I used to be kind of a business analyst, more like that. And so, well, we did this. It took some time for sure because it's always not an easy process, especially because Salesforce is an enterprise level solution. SEMrush back those days more like was small, medium sized business. So it took some time and effort from our sides, but at the end of the day, more or less it was completed. They hired sales guy, they were kind of working there and so on, right? And then the founder, and I used to work with Oleg there, he came to me and told me like, look, so basically this is more or less kind of completed. So I thought that you want to try to be a marketer here. I was like, why not? And so, well, that is how I actually started to learn about SEMrush as an SEO tool because,
Mm.
the first, let's say, more than 1 year, I was just more like a business analyst. So I had no idea what kind of data they have because I was just looking at their backend in terms of their users, payments, and so on. So I was working with another, business side.
Yeah.
And that's how I basically learned about SEO and so on.
So, what is it that interested you about SEO?
There are a lot of aspects, I would say, but I think that is, the most interesting because I'm kind of, I think I love challenges, right?
Mm.
And I think SEO is one of the most challenging disciplines because you are not really in control of a lot of elements. So in fact, you are in control of only your website. But if you work with different people, you even not even in control of these elements as well.
Mm.
And then you are trying to, kind of gain, right, some visibility traffic on Google, right? And that is a playground that don't really belong to you, right, at all. So it requires a lot of skills, and I think it goes, in terms of understanding how search engine results work and what you need to do. It goes way above or beyond. It's better to say beyond just on page or off page SEO. In fact, so there are way it's a way more complex thing and environment. in my understanding.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So your company, Digital Olympus, tell me about the story of
Mm-hmm.
how you how this agency came about.
Oh, that is not really a super exciting or, interesting story. So I've been just, trying different things, basically trying to be a business owner and entrepreneur and so on. I've been, I think I've literally tried every aspect of digital marketing, starting from social media, ending up with content marketing. But due to the competition, due to maybe our state of things, right, at that moment, we weren't really,
Mm,
successful in terms of providing those services. And eventually, we just, we started doing link building for one client, and it turned out to be quite successful. We started to get, other people asking us, first of all, people that we know, right, asking
mm,
us to help them with the link building and so on. So it was like a snowball effect. And I think it was just, being in the right moment, kind of, and providing the right services, right? So that was the perfect kind of combination, right? Because it's all about the perfect moment and what you can do in
yeah.
this perfect moment.
Hmm. So link
So
building,
there is no magic behind this, or something like that.
it's just something perfect time, perfect service, perfect moment.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, well, not so perfect service, I would say. There are a lot of things that we want to change, and we're constantly changing. But I think it was quite competitive, I would say, right?
Mm,
So,
yeah.
and as a result, there was, basically there should be some demand, and there should be some offer, right? And there should be a match. So I would
Mm.
say that was that thing.
So link building as a term is, I would say, quite controversial. I would say it's probably the most controversial aspect of SEO if you consider on page, off page, data, all aspects of SEO. Link building is a term that people,
Mm-hmm.
even as a term, people shy away from it. They tend to use the term link earning or link acquisition. They stay away from link building as a term.
Mm-hmm.
Why should
Mm-hmm.
clients not fear this term?
Well, I think it's not about terms, right? But what we know behind this term, what kind of meaning it brings to us, right? It's kind of, I don't really know. You know that Pornhub per se, it's not a bad term, but if you go there, you know what you're going to find there, right?
All right.
So that is more about what kind of previous history, right? Kind of
Yeah.
previous history kind of track, I would say,
Hmm.
how it's affecting the current state of things. And for sure, due to most probably, from one side, complicity of building links, it's not so easy to build quality links, right? It's so meaningful links,
Hmm.
right? And due to that, there are a lot of I wouldn't say like, uh, yeah, including spammy for sure, ways of building links. So that is the main problem, right? So there are a lot of providers and agencies, freelancers, right, that deliver things in a completely wrong way. And as a result, um, it's kind of creating this negative effect, I would say, right?
Yeah.
So it's quite hard, even sometimes for me, um, to most probably to validate any link building vendor, beforehand, I would say, right, without giving a try of their services, right? So I think that is the main problem, right? And another thing is that um, even though a lot of people are talking about quality links, there is no standard, I would say. So some people might say, The quality link is the one that is allocated on a website that is relevant to your niche, that is, on a page that is talking about something relevant to the page that you want to get linked to. And it has, I don't really know, the right sources of organic traffic, right, relevant to your business. But no one will be talking about, okay, but what kind of website is this one? Is it a kind of a media outlet? Is it a legit business? So, there are a lot of conversations that are happening on the level of, what kind of, like some kind of metrics, right, that we need to look at. But I think that for me, the main problem that it's all starting in a wrong way.
Yeah.
So for me, right, the good link, the quality link is the one that is allocated on a website that either sell some services, right, or have a product, right? It might be services cloud solution, they have a real product, right? Or it might be commerce website or something like that. So it's all, right, starting with defining what kind of websites we need to target. Or we might say it in a very, very simple way, right? So links that you're going to acquire, you should feel comfortable to share across your social media channels.
Right.
That is the way to define what is a quality link. But if your vendor, right, if your agency, if your freelancer doesn't know, if your in-house team, right, is capable of providing those links, then everything will be great for you, right? So you are on the right track. If you are kind of not ready to do that, then most probably something is wrong with them. Because a lot of people tell me, like, look, what's the point of building such quality links, right? Basically chasing such links if you can get links on, let's say, like very mediocre websites, media outlets and so on, that accept guest posts, or you can buy their link and they have, one more time, good parameters, blah, blah, blah. But for me, the main problem is that it's not really building a solid foundation of your business, right? So you're building up the wrong connections, because links are kind of connections, right? In real life, right? I know this person and this person refers, I don't know, like recommends me and I recommend someone else and so on. So that is, how links work in real life, right? The same way it works in SEO, right? So websites, they're recommending some other businesses, but when websites, mediocre websites, and not really having a solid brand behind them, recommending your website, is it really a long-term strategy? Is it really going to lead to something meaningful in the long run, even though it might solve the problem today, right?
Right.
So that is my main concern about, links, because a lot of people, they kind of either think that if they go into acquire, either it doesn't matter whether very good links or even like some okay links, I would say, it's going to solve all their problems, including the ones on their, I don't know, business side, just because they're failing in providing good services. And that is not, it's not really working like that, right?
No.
If only, I would say, if only.
So as link building, it has such a, I would say link building and SEO themselves, as a term, have a negative connotation. People still view SEO as a dark art, right? And link building is right up there with that type of connotation. So I'd imagine there is this uphill battle with clients. Do you find that you have clients who have this view of link building, which is very, it leans towards the acquisition of poor links or bad links, and trying to explain to them this is the appropriate way to do link building is a difficult enough task?
I'd say we don't really have that client. It's just because the most probably those clients that have been either building links in a wrong way or kind of giving a trial of this or that. They don't really have, I would say, a solid SEO process in place. So we only work with those businesses that have been already solved some problems, right, in terms of understanding why they need link building, right, and in terms of also solving their problems with content marketing, just because we don't really work with those businesses that don't really have content marketing in place as well. Just because links without content, I mean, like a stable flow of newly published content, it's not really working well.
Yeah.
So I would say we more like talk about some strategic, right, points. We are talking about how to spend this budget in the most effective way. Whether, pages that we are going to boost via link, they are really well optimized in terms of their own pages. So whether there is something we can change or update there in order to make sure that whenever we start building links, right, those pages, they are going to actually to show the best results in terms of growth of their visibility, organic traffic, and so on. But for sure, right, for instance, I've recently had a chat with a guy that got a manual penalty from Google just because of building wrong type of links, right? By the way, they worked with a very, very well-known agency. I'm not going to name them, but they are kind of, you see them everywhere.
Yeah.
So, there is always, I would say there are always some certain risks, right, that you have to take into consideration. But I think, one more time, he wasn't really thinking, or they haven't been really, thinking of links as a long-term investment, right? They were trying to solve, some gaps, right, in terms of their visibility with the help of their such links, but not really thinking of whether those links are going to work in 1 year, in 2 years, and so on, right?
Yeah.
So that is, I think, the main problem. That is the same, by the way, in content marketing. I have a very good example, which I think, the way it's done is kind of, whenever people are following this strategy, it's an outdated, a completely wrong strategy. Whenever they put in their URLs, not only in page titles is okay. You just need to remember to update it the year, but they put it also in the URL, the year, right? Just because, it's all kind of ranking factors, right? Quite strong singles whenever you put it the year, not only in a page title, but also in your URL. It's kind of basically giving you more priority, right? Making your page more competitive, I would say. But the problem that, okay, today it's 2023, but tomorrow it's going to be 2024, right? And then you have to change, update the URL and so on. So just creating, I would say, content for I wouldn't say evergreen or not evergreen. It's not the question, but just more like just for traffic, for traffic today, I would say, right?
Yeah.
But not really thinking how it's going to work tomorrow. That is, it's not only with links. It's kind of, you can find the same scenarios, I would say, right? Across various disciplines, digital marketing disciplines.
There is this question that a lot of brands have to ask, and I want to pose it to you, which is, how long will it take before I get to number one with link building?
Oh, that is a very good question. And since we try to basically to estimate, whenever we have a new client, right, we look at their pages, right, the one that they wanna boost their links. We also estimate the number of links actually, right, that they need to build in order to end up at the top 3 results, right?
Yeah.
And so based on this, we create kind of a plan and a timeline, right? But if you wonder about the first results, I would say after 2-3 months, right? If the competition is not insanely high, but we always try to take different pages, right? And sometimes, thanks to this strategic approach, clients actually remove some pages, right? Whenever we find that the competition, the link gap, I don't know, really goes over 300, 500 links, right? And we are talking about quality links, SEO, not only SEO meaningful links, but also the ones that are going to actually to pass them topical authority and so on, right? And so that is, this means that they have to have a very, very huge budget. And also, one more time, whenever we are talking about Google search engine results, we have very little control over this. We can start, implementing things in this manner, but then Google tells us, okay, the way we want to actually rank pages we change the logic between how we want to show pages, right? At search engine results, and maybe I wouldn't say that links would become no longer a ranking factor, but there might be some other ways of solving this problem one more time.
Yeah.
There is always not necessarily putting your page at the top 3 results is the only way of getting traffic. There are some ways of basically either getting featured on pages of websites that are currently outranking you, right? Or something like that. So there are some ways of basically getting visibility by those search terms that you can also take into consideration instead of just trying to rank well no matter what. Right. So it's all about just basically weighting what you need to invest versus what you can get out of this project.
I saw on either LinkedIn or Twitter, I think it was Twitter, this phrase, transactional link building. What is transactional link building?
Okay, so that is basically the one. Am I right? It's always like, there are so many terms. Let me double check it in Google as well, because I'm always so confused. Something like, is just, coming up. Okay, I think. Okay, it should be link building, because I always kind of there are another term that basically defining that. So, okay, got it. So transactional is the one that you're basically earning links, right? But there are also, some ways of creating, I would say, an organic flow of links, right?
Right.
So I would say that, one more time, transactional link building is most probably is becoming the only way of getting links when your pages are very specific. Well, starting from landing pages for sure, and ending up with even content pages, but the ones that don't really give enough linking angles, very SEO optimized, and so on. So they are not really sharing anything new, right? So they are just kind of a combination of what you can find on the web, and it might be styled in the way that is the most beneficial for this particular business, if you know what I mean. Right. For instance, tools comparisons, right? Yeah. If SEMrush, right, decides to do a tools comparison, page, for sure SEMrush will be the best tool out of this. And there are some certain topics, right? For instance, or let's imagine I'm a solution that is talking about inbox management, and I'm also, have as a solution I have this feature, right? So I will be talking not necessarily about invoice management and the process per se, but I will be talking about how great it will be if you just decide to start using, my solution, right? So the problem is all those, and they for sure target, keywords like invoice management, right? Best SEO tools and so on. But linking angles are very limited. People don't really want to normally link back to such content, right? They would rather link to something more natural or more informative, more interesting, or whatever it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And as a result, right, you have to, build links. You don't really have any other options, especially if you are talking about very competitive search terms.
Right.
But right, there are some certain pages and there are some certain type of content that that can generate links by default, right? Without making those, without really doing much in terms of link building.
Yeah, like the
For
Daily
instance,
Mail and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, interactive pages, for instance, right?
Mm-hmm.
The ones that allow you to do something, right? So kind of, I don't know, build charts or something like that. It might be all possible free tools, right? It might be a page that incorporates some unique data sets, right? So some research surveys and so on, including pages that just, kind of basically compiling a compilation of other stat pages. Because people are lazy. They don't really need to, whenever they see that, right, a page, I don't know, link building stats, for instance, right? They see that this page is ranking very well. They don't really, care whether this page is the initial source. They just, take it, link back, and that is very much it. No one will be really looking for initial, right, source of data. So, one more time, there are basically very, different types of pages, I would say. And some of them, they don't really have much chances in terms of generating links. For sure, you can think of how you can make them more visually appealing, right? Adding something there that will actually allow users to link back, but most probably that will actually hurt, right, your main business focus, right? So there are always like two things. Your main business focus, your main business goals, and you design this page in the way, it's going to work, right, in that direction. But whenever you start thinking of users, and we as marketers, we always forget about users. That is our problem, actually.
Yeah,
we always think about, okay, I need to convert, I need to build, I need to blah, blah, blah. But then, who is going to advocate users' interests?
Exactly.
No one, right? So that is the reason why we are searching for something in Google. I don't really know the best. I don't really know how the best places to visit in Spain, right? We see only SEO optimized text.
Yeah. So true. I imagine
that is our problem, right?
It absolutely is. It's quite annoying sometimes as well as an SEO when I search for something and I can see that the sites on Google, I can see that they're targeting the keywords that I have searched for, and it's just so obvious that okay, these people have an SEO in that they're working with, and that's why they're ranking highly. You can see that Google, or the site rather, have optimized with an SEO at hand, so they're actively working on their SEO. Sometimes it's annoying because the SEO it sort of like pops out at you, but what can you do?
Yeah, that is. That is very true.
With
No, that is very true.
You mentioned the page types also matter. I'd imagine the vertical matters as well. So an online gaming / gambling vertical is completely different to retail, to travel. So is it, do you have a preference on the vertical that you work in, or does it not matter to you?
We actually work across a few different verticals, not much, I would say, connected to each other. So, for instance, we really have big clients from the travel niche. we have clients from the finance niche, we have clients from the home improvement niche, and then we have a lot of different clients from more like digital marketing related niches, like, starting from, I don't know, like human resources, some sales tools, lead generation tools, and so on. But I think, the biggest difference between, I would say, I kind of split them in the following way. B2B verticals, right, and B2C verticals, right, in terms of their products and services, right? And the biggest difference between those two verticals, I would say, that in the B2B industry, right, you can build, and we prefer to build links on services cloud solutions, right? But in the B2C, you can't really do that, right? So the number of services cloud solutions per each niche is very limited. So you have to go just with some legit businesses that either provide some services or have some products. So there are very different, type of websites, I would say, right, where you can get links. But the biggest plus of literally any business in the B2C niche, that they need to build way fewer links in order to see results. So that, just because I'd say in the B2B industry, people are more into link building on a general note, right? So they kind of always try to ramp up their basically their efforts with the help of links. So they are more, right, they're more looking for links, they're more building links, right, even internally, right? So that is more or less, and for sure in the B2B niche, right, it's kind of, we have way more competitors as well, right? Well, it might be direct or indirect, or just companies and freelancers, right, that provide links.
So let's say a brand is seeking to build links for their site, and this is the first time they're venturing into link building, active link building, I should say. What should they be seeking from their either SEO consultant or SEO agency?
I'd start with some recommendations, some case studies, right? So looking at brands that they ever worked with, right? Then I would ask for some sample of links just to take a look, right, at their deliverables. And then I would have a chat with them. I will be asking, very precisely in terms of how exactly they are building things. Because as for me, right, it's very important, and for our clients especially, that we build links in a very ethical way, which means we don't buy them, we don't really use any fake profiles and so on. So, and we do outreach so we don't really use our client's name to deliver outreach. We use our own names, which means they have zero reputational risks, right? So you basically have to think over what kind of elements are the most important for your business, right? So, moving forward, you can address those questions, right? If you really don't want to get paid links, right, then ask them just straight away whether they're building paid links or not, and so on. If you don't really want the links from, I don't know, guest posts, for instance, right, ask them straight away, and so on and so forth. So think over what kind of links you want to get. Look at your competitors, maybe trying to find the best case scenario there, and just basically creating some criteria, right, by which you're going to choose the right vendor for you.
Do you have like a favorite aspect of link building?
It's you know what, you never know what would happen next. I think there is kind of it's challenging, and on top of that, unpredictable. So unpredictability, for sure, right? if you've done this for quite some time, you have more knowledge, so you can predict more situations, but there are always something new there, right? Coming up. And it's not about just, outreach, in terms of how you send emails, what you write there. It's more about negotiations. So since we build links through so-called relationship-based link building approach, we basically, we've built a huge network of editors that, work for different businesses. We're in touch with editors from HubSpot, Monday, and so on. And you never know what kind of additional requirements in terms of external links they're going to bring up and why. So the logic is sometimes extremely broken. So it's kind of, we are mastering the art of negotiations here, I would say. So from one side, we have to educate them to explain, right, why, right, it might be beneficial for them to consider linking to this page. From other side, right, we have to adapt to their new requirements and their new editorial guidelines, whatever it is they have, right? And so it's kind of balancing always, right, between those things and making sure that at the end of the day, we deliver what we need to deliver to our clients.
When I think back to the number of agencies I worked at in the past that carried out link building, they almost had it in two different ways. So they had the content creation or asset creation, and then the outreach itself, right? And after a while, this was post Penguin, right? A lot of agencies dropped the outreach part of that equation and focused more on the content creation, because they saw it as a way for them to one, acquire clients, and two, show results quicker, because the outreach part was very, very unpredictable, right? And it was very difficult to show results focusing on the outreach only. So a number of agencies just drops that completely and just focus on the either content creation or asset creation. What's your take on why both are still very much important for agencies to provide as a service?
I think you can't really master, both content creation and link building just because what we have right now, 30 people that do just link building. And we are not so perfect for sure, right? We do things, we deliver things in a timely manner. We have very good clients, but there are basically a lot of things that I want to change, and there is a lot of processes, right, that we need to adjust, and a lot of changes that we want to implement, and so on. So basically, you can't really have an agency that will be educating content creation and email outreach and just being competitive enough, most probably. Or either you're going to, be focused more on content creation, and the next one will be more like a complementary one, will be just, in case someone asks, rather than a really strong addition to what you do, right? So link building is so challenging, and most probably it's a very hard discipline, and you can't really, have a full cycle agency while you're really focused on link building, and vice versa, because content marketing actually and netting, and making sure that you deliver the right content, right, the quality content to your clients also requires a lot of skills and processes behind this. And I don't really think, and you know what, I kind of felt that there are still plenty of agencies that provide, both content marketing and email outreach, but it turns out that they outsource outreach either to us or to some of our competitors.
Yeah.
we used to work with a few very well-known agencies that were outsourcing their services to us. We just discontinued because we felt that we don't really want to allow other agencies to report on our beautiful links. We just felt that that is kind of a part of our brand awareness. We don't really want to allow people doing that, but that was more like a strategic move in terms of on a business side rather than something was wrong with them.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So let's say if we look ahead to the way the industry is going, SEO industry, do you think link building will become more or less important in the next 2 to 3 years, let's say?
I don't really know the right answer to this question because, I am not the part of the Google team, most probably. But
it depends on so many factors, right?
Yeah, well, but if we start thinking of this in a logical way, the core of any search engine is built on basically on looking what kind of connections each website has, right? And
Right.
links
Mm-hmm.
Is kind of creating those connections, right? How any crawler can understand that this website belongs to this niche. For sure, there are a lot of things that are happening in terms of machine learning, right? Artificial intelligence and so on. So, crawlers, they become more educated, I would say, right? And more, the way that they can work with pages is also not the same as it was like 5 years ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they can understand better
Mm-hmm.
what's written there, and so on. But links, they're kind of confirming, right?
Yeah.
That what's written there is basically, it's really, because there are a lot of things that are happening in between, like, there might be two search terms that are quite the same but not the same. For instance, there was the term about marketing automation and something about I'm not pretty sure, but I've been recently looking at this. And so there was marketing automation and something like lead generation automation, for instance, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's say like in this way, they are quite close, but not the same at all. But sometimes Google is confused because both terms, they belong to one niche, and there are, you have to have a lot of additional validation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And understanding of very small nuances in order to differentiate those search terms, right? One more time, links are really, kind of helping here to basically to understand that this is this and this is that.
Yeah,
So I think that is very much it.
yeah, I don't see links being less important, especially because the internet runs on links, right? I mean, that's how pages are found, links. So
I think the same, right?
Yeah, in a world where we don't have any links, we don't have a way for search engines to crawl sites, or a predominant way for search engine to crawl sites, pages. And it sort of like goes against Google's mission, essentially, which is to find information and present them in a meaningful, organized way, in a timely way. So, yeah, I don't think links will ever be less important, no matter how much link building is dead type of articles are written. I don't think it will ever die down. It will always be a strong area of SEO, and I don't think people should shy away from the term. I mean, since Penguin is just they don't want to be considered someone who's link building anymore. Well, it's an important aspect of SEO, especially the outreach. What you mentioned earlier with some agencies focusing on the content creation part, and then outsourcing to another agency to focus on the outreach part. That is another thing, another area that I've seen, which is quite common with a lot of the, shall we say, the bigger agencies, is a practice that they have, and that's their way once again of staying away from link building, because they can say, well, we're content creators, we just create content, we don't do link building. It's very political, I find. And it's a shame because a number of these agencies are the ones who ramped up link building pre-Penguin. I mean, they were just link building machines. There was a time when SEO was, or link building rather, was synonymous with SEO, because that is all agencies did. I would, in my opinion, and this is just my personal opinion, Penguin was brought about because of the aggressive approach that agencies use to create links or to link build. That's just my personal opinion on that. What's your take on that?
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'd say the following. It all depends on what you need, right? So in some cases, you don't really need links at all, just because your own page SEO is not in a good shape, right? You don't really have content marketing process and so on. Your product is on too early stages. You know, a lot of things might affect, right? You know, the necessity of having links or not having links, right? So I would say that one more time, the best moment when you most probably might see that you really need link building, right? You start considering link building when everything else is more or less kind of, you know, shaped in terms of on-page SEO, right? In terms of content marketing. And so you kind of, you are publishing new content, but it's ranking quite well, but not as well as it should be, right?
Right.
You kind of analyze search engine results. You see that your pages, in fact, they're quite competitive, right? So, but due to the lack of topical authority and also due to the lack of links, they are not really in a position, your pages, they are not really in a position of outranking the rest of other pages. So I think that's the perfect moment when you can start considering links. Before that, most probably it's too early, right, to talk about links. Because links is kind of, it's additional, you can think about additional acceleration, right, to your business.
Right.
Rather than a tool that can really solve all the problems and so on.
Alex, it's been brilliant speaking with you. What are you looking forward to this year?
Oh, we actually we have a good number of ongoing projects. So we've recently started our own podcast as well. And actually on Wednesday, we're going to have our next episode with Judith Lewis. I can't really wait for it. So that is the first thing. Also, we kind of, I'll be speaking, by the way, at the end of March at a very good conference in Poland with among speakers. They also have Tim Sol from Ahrefs, so really good speakers lineup. Really looking forward to it. As for something more long term, I don't really know, just because we are more like a startup. It's hard to say. Things are really kind of evolving here. But you know, right, we are very, very focused on building up our company's brand, right? We do quite a lot on that side. And I hope that this will really lead to something meaningful, either by the end of this year or starting from the next year. We will see. So that is our most probably our biggest focus. Not talking about for sure an ongoing process of improving our link building, approaches, the quality of links, and so on. That is also happening simultaneously.
Awesome, awesome. You mentioned your podcast. Do you have a name for it yet?
Yeah, we do SERPs of the week. So what we do during this podcast, we take a particular search engine result and look at top ranking pages, and we are kind of sharing basically our takeaways. And I ask some particular questions to guests so we can actually help other marketers understand better how Google ranks pages, right? What is more important, what is less important, and so on. So that is the main idea of this podcast.
It sounds like a brilliant idea. SERPs of the week. I'll have those links, that link in the description. Where can
Perfect.
people find you online?
Oh, you can find me on LinkedIn for sure. So just typing in my name, right, Alexandra Tachalova, or on Twitter, that is the same. So, and for sure, you can always go to our website because we have a very good blog there. So on Digital Olympus, olympus.net, right? So we publish a few content pieces per month, and I really love them. I think they are sharing a good number of useful recommendation, and it's more or less based on our own experience. So I think if you really want to learn more about link building and how to do it right, so I highly recommend visiting our blog.
Awesome. I'll have that link in the description for you as well. Alex, thank you so much for your time. Have a brilliant day and week ahead, and we'll catch up again soon.
Thank you very much, Austin. Thank you for having me. Have a very lovely day.
Cheers. Bye now.